I'm standing in the rain, staring at the glowing windows of a cafe I built with my betrayal. My hands are shaking, not from the cold, from fear, because the woman inside those doors is the one person who knows exactly who I am. And I destroyed her. Let me tell you how a broke college student became a millionaire, lost everything, and learned the hardest lesson of his life. Music shifts to hopeful piano. 5 years ago, I was nobody. David Chen, 23 years old, drowning in student debt, living on ramen noodles and broken dreams. I had a business degree, a laptop held together with duct tape, and an idea for an app that I was convinced would change the world. Every morning at 6 a.m., I dragged myself to this coffee cart on 5th and Pine in downtown Seattle. Not because the coffee was special, because it was cheap and the owner didn't judge me when I counted pennies. Her name was Maria Santos. The first time I saw her, she was singing quietly in Spanish while the espresso machine hissed. She had this smile that made you feel like maybe the world wasn't so cruel after all. I was digging through my pockets, coming up exactly 40 cents short for a small coffee. "It's okay," she
You
said,
look
pushing
like
the
you
cup
need
toward
it
me
more
anyway.
than I need
"You
40
look like you
cents.
need it more than I need 40 cents." I tried to refuse. "I can't just—" "Please." She smiled wider. "It makes me happy to help. That's payment enough." I took that coffee, and something shifted. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe it was the first time in months someone had seen me as a human being instead of just another broke kid. I came back the next day, and the next, and the next. Within a week, Maria and I were talking like old friends. I'd sit at the small metal table beside her cart, working on my laptop while she served her morning rush. She'd bring me refills without asking. I'd help her pack up at the end of her shift. "What are you working on so intensely?" she asked one evening, peering over my shoulder. "It's probably stupid," and I said, hesitating. "Try me." So I told her. The app was called Flow State, a productivity tool that would revolutionize how people manage their time. I explained the algorithms, the user interface, the market opportunity. Most people's eyes glazed over when I talked about it. Not Maria's. "That's incredible, David," she said, and she meant it. "You're going to change people's lives." "If I can ever afford to build it," I laughed bitterly, "I can barely afford coffee." She got quiet for a moment. Then she said something I'll never forget.
Money
"Money
comes and
comes and
goes,
goes.
but ideas like
Ideas like
yours,
yours?
they're
Those
rare.
are rare. Don't give up." I didn't know it then, but Maria was working 16-hour days, 6 days a week. She was sending most of her money back to her family in the Philippines. Her dream was to save enough to bring her mother to America. She told me this one night after closing, her voice soft with exhaustion. "Why are you so kind to everyone?" I asked her. "Even people who can't pay you back?" She looked up at the Seattle sky thinking, "Because someone was kind to me once, when I had nothing. It saved my life. I figure, maybe I can be that person for someone else." I fell for her that night, not just for her beauty, though she was beautiful, but for her soul. 3 months later, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out properly. We went to a food truck park, all I could afford, and ate tacos while sitting on a curb. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I listened to her stories about growing up in Manila. "I'm going to make it, Maria," I promised her. "And when I do, I'm taking care of you. You'll never have to work this hard again." She kissed me. "I don't need you to take care of me, David. I just need you to stay who you are." If only I had listened. The app development was brutal. I was teaching myself to code, working 3 part-time jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night. Maria was there through all of it. When I couldn't afford to eat, she'd pack me extra food from her cart. When I needed to practice my investor pitch, she'd sit and listen for hours asking questions, helping me refine my message. Then came the big one, a meeting with Marcus Webb, a venture capitalist known for finding diamonds in the rough. I needed a suit, a real one. The meeting was in 3 days and I had negative money in my bank account. I must have looked panicked because Maria pulled me aside after her shift. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I'll figure it out," I lied. She saw right through me. The next morning, she handed me an envelope. Inside was $300 in cash, small bills carefully counted. "Maria, no, I can't." "David." She grabbed my hands. "I believe in you. Let me help you believe in yourself." I tried to argue. She wouldn't hear it. That money represented a month of her saving, skipping meals, walking instead of taking the bus. And she gave it to me without hesitation. I bought the suit. I nailed the pitch. Marcus Webb shook my hand and said, "We're in for $500,000. Let's build something incredible." I ran straight to Maria's cart, screaming the news. She cried happy tears and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "We did it!" I shouted. "We did it, Maria!" "You did it," she corrected, but she was glowing with pride. That night, we celebrated in her tiny studio apartment with cheap champagne and takeout Chinese food. I made her a promise. When this app goes big, and it will, I'm paying you back 1,000 times over. You're my partner in this, even if you don't have equity. You have my heart. She smiled and whispered, "That's all I ever wanted." The next 18 months were a blur. Flow State launched. Users loved it. We grew from 2 employees to 20, then 50. The tech blogs started noticing. Investors started circling. But something was changing in me. I was spending 12-hour days at the office. Maria would text, "Coffee later?" And I'd reply, "Swamped, sorry, babe." Once a week became, once a month became, "I'll let you know."